Let's get rolling. Thank you all for joining us. From those of you at home, and for all of those of you here today. We today's topic is very eloquently put, thanks to our marketing, nice marketing language here from Tim, the modern listing and marketing blueprint. But more crudely, sellers is the topic today, right? And this should be our number one topic. I want to do this every time. I want to focus on listing side mostly. I only want to do listing side. Yeah, it's really tough to give up the buyer that calls for $600,000 place. Gosh, it is. And it's hard to get the listings when you don't have any buyers that you end up closing on. You know what I mean? What to build your business. But gosh, I want to say no to those every time, and I only want to focus on listings, right? Um, it becomes it's a challenge, and it's even twofold in today's market where it's low inventory. Right? This weekend, I spent 3 days straight for 4 hours a day, not even showing a place, negotiating highest and best with a buyer. We ended up winning. I'm very proud of that. But it's difficult, right? It is tough and frustrating when you're going up against multiple offers and trying to tell your client to pay overboard, right? So sellers. How do we get more? That's the hardest part. We're going to start there, right? And then how do we convert and close? We'll get into that later. Sound good? Since we have a couple people joining, it's a little harder for me to stop in the middle and see some of these comments and everything. So, feel free to leave some comments or some questions, and we'll take care of it at the end. But we're going to make it a little more interactive with those of you guys here today, if that's okay. Or I can just keep going. It's up to you. But let me ask you this: how are you guys attracting or marketing for new listings today?
Well,
Word of mouth?
Yeah.
Sphere?
So I'm fairly new at this.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that I try to do is work inside out. That's family, friends, and then professional.
Right.
And that's done through LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, things that I like using things for free.
Yeah. No, it's I highly advise doing that first and foremost. And then once you've exhausted all those angles, then move on to the paid versions if you need to reinvest some of that money, right? Sometimes we do as much as we can, we have nowhere else to turn, and then we say, okay, let's look at some paid features, right? But
So I took some time off.
yeah, no worries.
I had said to Tom, I came home and I said, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
But
no, it's all good.
Actually, it's time to get a little bored. We just did a big fundraiser for Nancy Others.
Nice.
And so I was doing it after lunch.
Nice. You know what? Was it sponsored by Pearson Realty Group?
No, because
Why not? It should have been, right?
Well, because it's some of the people. I'm a vice president with Columbus, but some of the people have been here like 40 years, and so they have a group, and they already had picked a real estate.
Oh, then that's fine.
But
that's fine.
We're definitely on the next year.
Right, but if there's ever an opportunity, I'd love to be able to talk with you and work with you about this. It's a great way to and there's free there's different ways to sponsor where you don't have to spend a ton of money, right?
I wanted to hire somebody, and we hadn't hired somebody because the person that was doing it had passed away before COVID, and had to get the key clubs back up and going. But people, I do get calls. I just have to start.
Yeah.
You just start working.
Right, but I think to share with everybody, sponsoring events are phenomenal ways because what we do is hyper local. I'm telling you that it comes down to a block by block. They want to. They have the big titans in the industry. They're trying to take it over. It will not work. We continue to take and gobble up their market share, right? And it's funny because they're just going to turn around and pay me right back for it at the end of the day, right? But we continue to take up and gobble their market share because we are more hyper local and more independent, more you want to go toe to toe with somebody. Well, I sold something on the block and you didn't. Who wins, right? And that's a block to block kind of thing. So, whether it's schools are a great opportunity to get into because you have a transitionary nature of some of the whether it's family statuses and people moving in or moving out of the areas, but it's a great way for us, whether it's your alma mater, right? People are going to be moving away from the school or to the school, so there's a lot of like opportunity there that I always see. And it's great because schools, you got to be in the area to go to school, right? Unless it's, we're not going to be going in advertising and sponsoring a what is it, Phoenix online education, right? Because that wouldn't apply, right? But a local school is, that's a great opportunity. So think about that. What are some other things? One of the things that I think about, it doesn't matter where you're marketing, but think about always going around just on the tip of your tongue, offering, valuations, market analysis, right? Offer, market analysis. Hey, to the club, I'd love to be able to share my market analysis, right? Valuation, that's a way to do it to a group. You're not going to tell a whole group of people what one of their houses is worth. Right? What you can do is you can tell the whole group of people what the market is doing. So it's seller side, listing, sales, your offer. I always tell people the year that I did the most listings, I offered the most valuations and I completed the most CMAs.
The more you do, eventually,
The
10
numbers
game soon.
So walk around like a walking and talking billboard, free valuation. Who wants it? Come and get it. Free valuation. I can guarantee you're going to pick up so many different listings.
How did you do that? How did you announce that? The market.
A couple different ways. So social media is great, right? Sometimes I would just give my opinion, and then at the end, it's free, it's indirect, right? So sometimes you want to be careful. It's like, can I take your money to sell your house? Like, whoa, hey, that's low, right? So, but and free valuation sometimes sounds a little bit cornier and cheesier than there's maybe a better way that we could phrase it, right? Sometimes what I would do is I would just give my opinion of the market's analysis. And it could be in the past. So you don't have to be a wizard with a crystal ball, right? Looking forward in the future. And a lot of people get weary of a prediction of the future market. That's not what we're saying is look back. Tell people about what has happened and give a historical 3-year chart. It's going to look like this. Or, as the old traders, it's, the graphs, it's going to look like this. Don't let them analyze it for themselves, but you can give the historical data, right? And then then what you can say is, if you're looking for your specific submarkets data, let me know and I'll send it to you, right? What do they do on social media? Sometimes they say, comment market data for your free analysis. And some I'm not as skilled and as and I see some of these people do that online and there's a way to set social media up to automatically send them like the free report that you have. I don't recommend doing that. I'd say, hey, just reach out, comment on this post or message. Sometimes I like saying comment on the post because it's a little bit of a social media trick because it skews the algorithm to being, wow, if a lot of people are commenting on this, then it must be good. Let's show it to more people. And if a lot of people are commenting on it again, we're going to show it to even more. And that's how you want it to get you to go viral. It's you want to be a public profile to show to people that aren't your friends. That's the whole point. You want it to go to people that you don't know. How do you make $1 billion in real estate? Is you get really good at selling real estate to people you don't know. But obviously we got to start with the people that we know first, right? And you start inside out, like you mentioned before. So offer the free valuations. What are some other options, right? Now I can give you guys a lot of different lead sources, right? That's cancel expires. What do you do with a cancel expire? hey, do you want to know what your home is worth and why it didn't sell? Same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Or you say-
FISBO.
Did you have any off like?
FISBO, yeah. Hey, is your place for sale? And they're gonna be like, yeah, because they want to sell it, right? They're doing it themselves. They're gonna get so excited about your inquiry. And it should be like, oh, so you haven't sold it yet. So do you want me to tell you what it would take to sell it? And if they go, no, it's not for sale anymore, I'm already under contract, then you go, oh, okay, never mind. Have a good day. Sorry about it.
Does it? Sometimes they'll say, like, I don't worry about it, I don't know who should say that, but like, if I call cancer expires and they already put it back on the market, but I didn't see it on the list. And then they tell me, and then I'm like, okay, well, have a good day, good luck.
Okay, so-
Did they offer that higher or lower?
So here's what I would say. There's an easier way to check that is if you look at canceled and the top right, it shows there's the I button
On the.
drop down and it shows show listing history and it'll show you all of the MLS histories on there. Back to the last time they bought it and all of the history of
Oh, yeah.
canceled dropping price.
But
And
if I'm looking at a list that's just canceled expires, it's
Okay.
not showing the new.
We'll show, I have got a great way and a trick to avoid that, so you save some time. And you can run through, I will tell you, most people cancel their listings and they don't let it go to expires. Because it's that much easier for us to pull up all the ones that we know weren't really listed because they expired. So you gotta look at canceled, but there's an easier way to do it. And if you ask Jen at the front desk or Gabriella, they'll show you their tricks and able to cycle through them a little bit faster to make you a little bit more efficient. But long story short, back to the seller marketing. I say, is 1234 Main Street on the market? And I know that I've checked that it's not on the market, right? And they say, yes. You should say, well, why isn't it actually on the market? Right?
Mhm.
Just be like, well, the reason why I'm calling you is because it's not. And if you're still interested in selling, I'd be happy to tell you why you haven't sold by now. Mic drop. Right? Or, you want me to give you my analysis on what it's going to take to sell. It's a free valuation right there. That's my offer, right? And it's the sales psychology of knowing, really navigating the words around, really understanding what their priorities are, putting yourselves in their shoes, and understanding what they don't want another agent calling them saying, I'll list your relist your house. And then again, remind them every time. And you got to be able to say this off the tip of your tongue at a moment's notice. If somebody sticks me up, points a gun at me, or I'm at knife point in the middle of the street, I can guarantee you I'm going to be able to recite these words, right? Is free up, it's absolutely free, no obligation. It'll take 5 to 10 minutes. Does that sound fair? Does that sound fair? Of course. I'm asking him a no-brainer question, right? It's the most obvious yes, right? So you're getting them to pretend like you're a Jehovah's Witness knocking on their door, right? Open it a little bit, right? They are so protected and guarded. How do you get in and get them to ease their opening the door, right? And that's say, hey, I'm your neighbor. You mind if I give you $1 million? A little bit more, right? Sure. Right? Hey, you mind if I give you a bunch of free stuff? Sure. And then, of course, obviously it's accompanied by, yeah, and here's all I do. And I just want to tell you a little bit about it. Oh, awesome. Wait, actually, I may be interested in using a service. Well, of course, you use that service, you have to pay for it, right? So that's the mindset, right? And with every seller. Free valuation. Okay, so that's that. Any other now again, that's your pitch, right? That's your pitch. You got to know that, you got to understand it truly, you got to be good at sending those CMAs, right? You got to be good at converting. We'll get into that in a little bit. Lead sources, we've touched on a little bit, right? We've talked about, make sure you have your lead sources written out, right? I know so many people that wake up in the morning and they've got 500 emails and they don't know where to go. They've got 50 people asking them for everything, but they literally cannot tell me where they're going to get new business, right? You got to spend every part of every day getting new business, a third of the day stocking the pipeline, right? A third of it converting the business to being actual closed business that you've already found. And then the other third of it, closing that business and getting paid on it, right? Doing the showings, that's operations, right? That's editing the MLS, calling the other broker. A lot of people think that our job here as real estate agent is calling the other agents in town, trying to sell your current listing. It's a 2/3 getting the business, right? That's why we're comfortable paying a 25% referral fee to a guy on the other end of the nation, or on the other side of the globe, because I spend more than half of my time every day trying to get the listings of the business that we have here, right? If I can give up a quarter of that instead of half of it, I'm winning. Right? Hey, if I give you, if I give you $100, which again, I'm only going to make 50 on, right? So let's just say, would you give me 25? Sure. I'm making $50 on it. Sure. I'll give you 25. So anyways, that's kind of the mindset there of you got to be constantly focusing a third of your day. I have a lot of agents in this brokerage that do a lot of tenant rep, or they do a lot of, it's listing side, which is great if you're struggling to generate sales stuff and you want to build your business, but rental listing stuff, right? Which is great. Don't get me wrong, but maybe they work with a lot of buyers and they're not closing as much as they want at the end of the day. I literally tell them to get a sticky note, put it on their mirror, put it on their nightstand. I have my goals on my nightstand. I see them every time I go to bed. I see them every time I wake up, and I know what my day is because I know what to go after, right? But it's listings, right? I have it on my work when I come in and sit down and I go, oh, don't get distracted by that, right? Listing side, always great, right? So think about that. That's another thing. And then time blocking, right? We talk about it every time. I can wake up in the morning and have 50 million things to do, like some other people. Yeah, right. But they don't have their lead sources written out, so they don't know who to go after, right? They don't know to remember to go back to that one amazing lead source that they found, but they don't continue to nurture it and focus on getting new business. But also set your schedule up for the whatever time of day that works the best for you, where you're not traveling around, or not common for showing, so you don't have to move the time, right? That it's for prospecting, right? I have it Thursday afternoons, right? Prospecting. And you probably need to move it from Thursday afternoons. But what we used to do is we used to get a 6-pack and sit at the front, and everybody, we've done these power hour call sessions where we literally sit around and we call all of our lead lists with some of the top agents, and anytime somebody gets an answer, we all stop calling. He puts it on speakerphone and we listen to him talk, right? And that's kind of call conversion stuff. I'm happy to do that with you guys individually if you don't want to do it in a group setting too, but that what we do is time block for that type of stuff. So that's always super important for making sure, I know I have so many agents here that call me and they go, oh, I didn't close as much this year. So how many people did you call yesterday? Huh? What are you prospecting? What are you working on? What list are you? What's your motivate, like, right? And it's half of our job is making sure that that's being done, right? And then sometimes people that just don't want to do it, right? Which is tough. Okay. So that's a little bit about kind of the sales piece, the prospecting piece. Do you guys struggle with any of that? Do you want me to move on to kind of the conversion piece? Yeah. Okay. So once you get somebody to say yes, right? They open the door a little bit. They say, sure, I'll look at your CMA, but I don't trust you. That's what every single seller sounds to me in my head. Seriously, swear to God. And if approach it that way, I feel like I'm a lot more successful. It may be a little bit of a cynical approach, but at the same time, I know how to delicately go about the situation and to, you know, I'm going to say something one time to one person and they're going to be absolutely turned off by it. Sales is a maximizing your numbers game, right? You're never going to give the perfect sales pitch to every single person in line, unfortunately. That's just how it is. So as long as you make sure you're maximizing it to the most potential, then you got to have some acceptable losses there, right? So, if you're confident when you're going in, you say, this is the way you got to do it. There's going to be some people that are absolutely not going to want to do it that way, which is fine. If you know that they don't want to do it that way and you're fine changing your sales pitch, that's where you can also maximize. And that's where good salespeople can judge the room, right? And understand. Sometimes it's just by asking questions, right? I'm just pulling in this morning. I got a lead from UpNest, Realtor.com. I highly advise you guys go and do it because it's actually a great lead source. But unfortunately, they even if they tell you they only give it to one agent, they give it to like hundreds of them. So it's all a speed to lead thing. I'm freaking Johnny on the spot with that, right? With every single one out there. You know how many times people tell me, "Oh my God, I just pressed send on that. I didn't. I'm surprised you called me so fast." They get weirded out, right? And I go, "Oh, I pride myself on my skills and my ability, and I hope that you see that I will do the same for you as the seller, the buyers that call me for you, right?" But I talked to him and oh gosh, I forgot where I was going with it. Oh, CMA. So I offered a CMA and they said, yeah, great, that sounds great. Um, so completely lost my train of thought there. But no, I am gonna send them a CMA, and I'm gonna put it together and I asked him, oh, I know what it is. I asked him a bunch of questions, right? And I said, oh, great. I offered it and they were like, sure, you can give me the free stuff, but I'm warning you, right? And I said, okay, great. Have you done anything? Don't want to, sometimes I'll say, when can I come by? Right? Set the appointment. That's the goal, right? But sometimes they're a little bit like, ooh, and I judge the situation by asking questions or saying certain things as a salesperson. And I said, she's going to want to look at some more stuff from me first, right? So I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to send you a desktop valuation. Can't get a great exact number until I go and see the house. So I'm giving her a reason to finally let me in and telling them the final step that I'm going to need from them ahead of time is easing them into the knowledge.
Sorry, what is a desktop?
Desktop evaluation is basically an online valuation without seeing the house. I call it a desktop. It's a valuation without seeing the home.
Do you do a CMA or is that?
I do the CMA because you know what? I'm gonna have to prepare that paperwork when I go to the house anyways, but I don't give them a number. Right? Maybe I'll give them a range if they ask specifically, like, hey, where's the number? I'll be like, well, I haven't seen the house, but it's gonna be this massive range. And when can I get in? Right? But here's the comps. So I told her, but I asked her questions, right? Have you done anything major to the home since I'm doing an online valuation? Without seeing the house, have you done anything major to the home since you bought it? Right? And I'm engaging. And you don't want to ask too many questions. If you're feeling like they're getting off the phone, you want to get off the phone with them before they get off the phone with you. Right? Because you want to be seen and felt like you're busier and not dying for their business, right? Like you're a want, like you don't, what is it like dating? Like you want to, you're not wanted, right? So long story short, asked some questions. I said, what's your timing on it? Are you looking, is it a this year thing? Is it a next year thing? Don't get me wrong. I am no rush or pressure to sell. Rush or pressure to sell. I just want to give you my timing analysis on the cyclical nature of our market, and I can show you, depending on what your goals are. Right? She's like, no, it's a this year thing, maybe it's spring, summer thing. Right? So it's like sometimes they'll say, my job starts in 2 days and I need to be out in 24 hours. That's going to change everything I do, right? But if it's a, and again, as I get in there, I learn more about her, right? And them telling you about the house and spending time with you, if you can get in there, they're not going to want to do it with people, right? So you get in, you stay engaged with them as a salesperson. They're talking to someone. So if you get somebody that just short sends you a message, sure, send it to me. It's like, because they got some other person they spent 35 minutes on the phone. They're just using you as the one to cross reference, right? Because this guy's calling them and calling them and calling them and calling, engaging them and friendly with them. And so, anyways, I'm going to be sending a desktop valuation. It's quick. You should be really, really good at doing those CMAs. If you have the settings set up, Mark and I did them recently where he has the template. All you have to do is comp, enter the address, drop the exterior photo, and that's it. It will spit the whole report out. Jen and Gabriella will bind it for you. If you finally do set the meeting, you email it off to them, and your whole goal is to push for the meeting. Now, if they're out of town, you push for a future meeting or a call, but a future call. I don't like saying I'll call you in later because I like scheduling something. If somebody is willing to put time on their schedule, whether it's in person or virtual or whatever, right? They're willing to give you the time and they're showing you their motivation. All right. But obviously, if they live in the house, you got to go by and see it. You say, let's go. If it's commercial, you can ask them if they occupy it, if it's their business, you can go whenever, right? Maybe I'll set it during business hours or before the employees show up or after the employees go home, right? It's a lot of the time where some of the business owners are going to want to actually meet with somebody who's talking about these type of things. And if it's for a multifamily, right? We'll meet at the property, but we don't have to bother any of the tenants. Or is there any vacant apartments? If it's a commercial property that they don't own, yeah, maybe we'll just schedule a call, right? You can do a Zoom if you want, but sometimes if you're tiptoeing around, just getting to know them, right? Sometimes people are like, I don't know you, I need a Zoom. And it's like, the number of times where we do Zooms for business on a daily basis where nobody's got their camera turned on. It's like this ultra luxury that we have that every computer has a camera on it now, but it's like it's invasive, right? A little bit. So you got to make sure you're judging that. I'm fine with the call, right? Fine with the call. Send them the calendar invite. You guys all have Google Calendar. Put it on their books. By default, we'll have an alert for them 30 minutes in advance. You can change it to be whatever alert you want with an email. And that's a way to keep them. I went to the doctor the other day. They sent me like 8 reminders to check in, right? Also, one of my coaches told me don't ever schedule anything for more than 48 hours. I say 72 hours in advance because it's more likely to cancel further out in advance, right? Obviously, if the seller's like, I'm rehabbing it, it's not going to be done until April. I don't want to meet then. And then obviously, yeah, right. But also, if they say it's not going to be done until April, what do? 30 days. You call them 15 days. Hey, just want to check in. Are you still on for April? All right, cool. They say I want to sell next year. You call them 6 months. Hey, just want to check in. The number of times where somebody said that they wanted me to sell their house in a year, and then I look up 9 months later and it was listed 2 weeks ago and sold. And I'm like, uh, uh, but he told me a year. Uh, uh. Get really good at those cloud CMAs. We spent a lot of money in doing custom marketing. We're going to be updating it soon, right, Tim? We're going to be updating it soon. You guys all heard it here. Heard it here. We're going to be updating it soon with some more current market statistics and like about us information. But it's all great branded stuff that I go toe to toe with any of the people in the industry, and there's no reason why any of it won't make you. If you don't tell anybody about where you work, and they'd be like, "Who?" what? But if you walk, you can show them it's subconscious, beautiful marketing. And if you can put it together quick and easy with really great data and show up on time and, dress nice and not say ridiculous words, it's easy. It's easy. It's all about who can put it all together. Okay, a couple of other things. When I send the CMA, I can go into it and show you a little bit more in the technology if you guys want. But when I send the CMA, I copy the link from Cloud CMA. Mark and I did one of these the other day. I put it in the body of an email. The email body, I put it at the end of the email, but the beginning of it is my cover page, telling them a little bit of, dear Mr. Seller, see below link to my CMA, right? This is your closest comp. Like, I can't write this. There's no template for this for you guys, right? Talk a little bit about summarize the CMA, right? That's your first bullet point or first paragraph or first two sentences or first sentence. It doesn't need to be that long, right? The next you go into, this is what I think it's worth. Now, everybody needs to remember this. The number of times where the agents in our office go to sellers and they lose listings when they go up to them and say, the place is worth $1 million. Okay. You're missing a massive price piece of information. What is that? Time? Well, I'm going to get into that. That's good. Yes, but no. You do need to talk to them about the timing, the market, and all that stuff, but it's a price number.
Because you don't know what's going to close at.
Okay, perfect. So they're closing at. No, he's telling them what it's going to close at.
Yeah.
Or is he telling them what it's going to close at, or is he telling them what to list it at? There's two different numbers that you need to give people. This is what I think it's worth. But this is what I think we should start listing it at. And that is so huge, so crucial, and it needs to be said more. And it needs to be, and you know what? A lot of the times I will tell you, I have lost listings. It is exhausting going in there, losing a listing to another broker that's saying that they're going to list it for more than you. It's not worth it.
Right.
But guess what? They get the listing and they drop the price and they sell it for what I had said it was for. What's the difference between the two? Is the one broker said, sure, I'll try for a little bit more for you, right? I don't mind saying that to sellers. I have another broker who turns down listings left and right, and then he complains that he doesn't sell any real estate. He has 0 listings. Oh, it's not worth it. Ugh. It's like, okay. He said he wanted to list it. Did you know for sure it's not worth that? Not even close. No way. No way. Oh, well, just so you know, there's no inventory on the market and prices are appreciating like crazy. Did you even try and go after something in between there? So anyways, that's where I would make sure it's one of the biggest pieces of missing information and faults of agents when they're doing a CMA is, hey, I'm happy to try for a little bit more. Again, feel them out. I had somebody who I gave them an evaluation. They're like, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll give you a call. And I was like, okay, thanks. Great. Call him the next day. Like, what'd you think? No answer. What'd you think? No answer. What'd you think? No answer. Ghost. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't ask them. I didn't engage. I didn't listen throughout the process. It needs to be an interactive conversation, not a one-sided, here's all the information, take it or leave it, right? Let's get on the phone and talk about this. Read what I got. Let's talk about it. I always end my kind of listing presentations with, let's talk about it. What do you think? Right? Like let's get on the phone and I can explain it a little bit more. I say with color, right? or a little bit more dynamic. We can have more of a dynamic conversation. Let's get on the phone, right? So yes, you need to put some stuff in writing, right? You need to say, I think it's only worth 750, and I want that to be clear in writing, because when we go to list it at 900 and then I ask them for the price drop, they'll be like, but you said 900. I said 750. Okay. What do you guys think? Any questions? And that's pretty much it. And then convert to push to close. Just like once you send the CMA, right? Once you send the CMA, it's when can I get in? 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 When can I? Once you go and see the house, and then you maybe finalize. Sometimes I'll resend it to them with a number on it. Sometimes I don't even put the number in the actual CMA because I don't want them forwarding it around to somebody else or printing it out, having it on the table. It's just maybe it's in the body of my email. Nobody prints out bodies of email. Maybe they can forward it around. That's fine, right? But then I say, hey, now that I've seen the house, you can tell them if you're confident. You walk through the house and the house looks exactly like you thought, and you think you know the price, then you can say it right there. But if you didn't go back and say, I need to go and do my homework. I just saw the house. I need to look at the data now that I've seen the house. Don't be afraid to say I'll get back to you. And say, I just saw the house. I don't know. But here's some comps. I could sit down and we could talk through it right now. And I could give you maybe a high level range again. But let me go back, let me do some research, and then I'll follow up. Maybe we can get on a call to discuss further. Then once you send it to them, the valuation, the CMA with the number, then I would say, are you ready to go? 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 A lot of agents will send a listing agreement. And it's like, wow, you spent all that time putting together the listing agreement and you don't even know if they're ready to go. Right? If you know they're ready to go or they give you the thumbs up, then great. But make it really easy on them. Just say, all you have to do is move your hand like that and I'll put her on. Okay, well, yeah, there's a baby step, right? Which is another is like, okay, now you need to formally sign on the dotted line, and that's going to formally lock you in, right? But make it easy on them. Say, hey, how's that sound? You good? All you have to do is say, yeah, all you got to do is reply to my email with good, and I got you. And I make it easy on them to say yes to you. Not, what we used to do, Todd and I, when we were setting management agreements, and this was my fault. What I used to do is every time somebody signed a management agreement, they used to need to give me their social security number and their bank account number, right? Because I need to collect the rents for their tenants and send it to them and W-9 them when I send them the rents, right? But gosh, and it wasn't that hard for me because it was just a template that I hit add to the agreement to attach onto it. My brother, when he worked here, got so pissed that because he was more on the back end and operation side, and I was more on the sales side. And I would get all these people to sign up, but not a lot of them signed up because they stopped signing up because they had to give me their bank account routing information. And I made it hard on them. I was I was a block to them saying yes. They couldn't say yes because they're like, oh God, I gotta get out. I gotta go home. This has gotta be, how there's certain things where you can do on your phone on the internet, and there's certain things where you need a big screen to do,
Yeah.
right? Like buying an airplane ticket. Gosh, I tell you, I have gone on 25 less vacations in my life because I don't feel comfortable just doing it on my phone, although I'm getting better at it. But yeah, so that's make it easy on them. Say, if this is good, and then all it is after you send them all that, you say, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Is that good? Am I good? Am I good? Am I good? And make it super easy. And then that's your constant follow-up. Hey, are we good? Were you ready? You ready? 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 And then once they say they give you the easy thumbs up, then you go, okay, paperwork, send it to them, sign on the dotted line. Okay. Then after that, right, I need your account number for the utility disclosure. I need to get in, I need the tenant's information to take pictures, or or I need to know what year their water heater was built. And that's where you kind of make it, right? Where you kind of get into some of that details, but make it really easy on them to say yes.
Quick question, circling back to the beginning, different form of the bank account, social security number, how do you recover from that? How do you, get back in their good graces?
If they don't sign up after I send them all of that,
Yes.
well, just don't do it to start with now. Maybe just resend them just the one agreement.
Okay.
You know, if I realize it, but a lot of times I don't realize it until I've already lost the deal. And also that was a big change in my process. And if I'm changing my process, I'm not doing it retroactively, right? I'm only doing it for new people moving forward. So I can't line up to how I recovered from it or not, right?
What do you do differently now?
Well, so what I do differently now is Todd and I say, hey, are you ready to sign up for management services? And they go, they only have a proposal. And they say, yeah, you know what? Let's do it. And then we send them the management agreement, which is therefore the listing agreement, same thing, right? It's a little bit, you know what helps me selling real estate is it simplifies the product. I sometimes think of what we do here is we sell a service. And if you really simplify it down to like pretend like you're selling a toy car, right? How do you sell that toy car? Right? Or I work in a toy shop and I have the most beautiful toy in the store and I market it and I think about my services like that, right? It sometimes makes it a little bit easier, right? You know how easy it is to buy clothes online, like with Apple Pay and the checkout process. They know if you make that checkout process easier, you will buy more clothes. It is bar none a fact. And it should go the same thing to us, right? Yeah, we take Apple Pay. Maybe not. But okay, so recovering from the process, yeah, I've changed my process to say, hey, all you gotta do is, raise your hand or give me a wink or a nod or thumbs up or send me a text with yes, super easy, and I'll get everything rolling for you. Then once they say that, I say, okay, now I've sent you the listing agreement. All you gotta do is open your email and click, click, click. Then they're formally locked in. I made it even easier than it is with the e-signature. Because again, as salespeople, it takes you time to put together that paperwork, right? As much as I would love to be the transaction coordinator to do the listing agreements, it's always the salesperson's job to get it across the finish line, right? And that's getting the sale done, getting the sign on the dotted line. And in any business you have, in any software sales, all this stuff, signing the receipt, the cash register at the toy store, checking you out, sign here on the credit card. The waiter makes you sign the check, right? All of that is the salesperson's job to kind of get done, right? So something to think about, right? And you got to get good at doing that. But I don't want you guys all wasting your time putting together all these listing agreements for people that aren't going to say yeah, right? Does that answer your question a little bit? And then what I've done is I've changed it so we send the management agreement. All I have to do is click and sign, and then I send the other agreement. And I say, hey, look, you don't have to do this. There's no rush to do this. Do this when you get a chance. But we're setting everything up for you. We lock them in. Sometimes I won't even send it until, I've had people sign my management agreement and then, maybe somebody in the office where maybe there was a clunkier step in the process and they never fully onboarded. And because they never fully onboarded, I never really managed their property and I never really could charge them any money, right? But it was all a bunch of wasted time. So sometimes what I do is I don't even send them the W-9 and bank account information until after I've started to manage their property. Because again, I have to start managing their property before I can send them any money anyways, right? So if I move that towards the end of the process, now the property managers hate the fact that they have to do that now. But again, they can go home and sit on their couch and twiddle their thumbs if they had no properties to manage too. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. What's up? Oh, okay. I thought you're waiting for something there.
Jim has a question.
How do I get into real estate? How do I get out of real estate? Working question, what's the difference between a management agreement? Is that for rentals?
Property management.
Okay, yeah,
So it's like, it's a completely different service and it's for me to like actively manage their real estate. A lot of people think real estate is passive income, but it's absolutely not. You gotta collect the rent, you gotta call the tenants, you gotta fix the toilets, you gotta fix the roof, you gotta proactively, go and have somebody set up to plow the snow before the snow falls, right? You wanna call somebody to plow the snow after it falls, good luck. You got a city violation, right?
so like the listing agreement, how do you kind of ease the listing agreement? You mentioned like it's a CMA. Is it okay to go back, say maybe with another CMA and listing agreement, or at what point do you make the?
So if I'm doing it in person, a lot of people will recommend to bring the listing agreement and have them sign it there. And then you know what? I kind of agree with that.
Okay,
But if you're not confident in it, then yeah, I mean, it depends. It really depends. I like that part of the process, getting somebody to sign right there on the dot. I've gone into listing appointments and I've had a listing appointment set up and they canceled it because the first person that went in got it done. And they said, you know what, I'm just gonna go with Johnny. I don't want to have to meet another people are inherently
You
lazy.
didn't leave until they signed.
Right.
it.
Right. Well, people are inherently lazy, and as long as you show up on time and you dress nice, you guys are all normal people here, right? We all, there is a reason why we all, work together. They're gonna sign up with you. So be the first one in. Now, if you know for a fact that they're quote unquote interviewing multiple brokers, try and be the last one in.
Yeah.
Because a number of times where I went in and promised them the world, and somebody goes in, no, I'll give you the world plus 0.01. But wait, he wasn't going to give you the world unless I told you about all that stuff. So, it's a way to one up somebody. But you got to be careful and you got to be confident in that, understand how to make sure that they don't go back and say, they offer the world plus 0.01. Will you offer the world plus 0.02? It's like, right.
The main thing I would say is this, you sell confidence in yourself and your services, right? But to fully do that, you either have to be a lying psychopath or actually know that you're good.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Consciousness is
So quick was, do you want to be a lying psychopath? Cool. But you could also, but it's a little better when you actually know the process. So in a newer agent's case, what I would recommend is tag along with somebody, write somebody's office for them for 2 months, 3 months. Go write 60 office and see all the little nuances. So when your client goes like, I want to list it here, but I don't want them to have possession until this date. Sure. Okay, I think it's the contract. Let me see. I'll send it to you. We're reviewing it. But then they're like, oh, I'm doing more work to do. So ultimately, it's like know your product. So when the client does ask you something, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I always think about it and I recommend no, like when I'm teaching and training an agent when they're going through the offer process for the first time, I tell them, okay, I also need to tell you about what comes next and the inspection process and then the closing process and then what's the actual closing looks like because it's going to make their offer process 10 times better, right? Have you guys ever read the contract? Okay. All right. Well, believe it or not, a lot of agents that are new and getting into it call me all the time. They're like, what do I do in this situation? Did you read the contract? Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, proactive, that's also kind of what's why you put people on teams. It's like proactive, it's when they get exposure to stuff.
Yeah.
Some teams are more classically built, some are more loose. But I would say it's like it's cool to just start on somebody's team, be the low man, tone pole, and learn everything from the way up.
Yep.
Then when you get to the top, that's real. You know everything from the bottom down. Nobody can take your place. So ultimately that's what I recommend is like if you're the only way they'll accept you is if you know what you're doing and you sound like you know what you're doing, and the best way to do it is to actually know what you're doing. It's just so practicing and finding somewhere where you can practice. Like basketball, there's a YMCA down the street. Where can we write some offers or see? Maybe YouTube. maybe on whatever Austin's training programs, or maybe you get paired up with someone and just for free or for a nominal fee, you become an assistant. And then you learn stuff from the inside out. That's also a cool way of doing it.
And don't lie about anything. Don't lie.
Nothing that
Don't
can
lie,
be
there's
super-
nothing to lie about, like, people exaggerate or try to push it, it's like, you know what, that's a quick way to lose your license. Telling a lie, it's like, it shouldn't do it, it shouldn't happen, so.
Are you guys getting enough leads, inquiries, opportunities to say, let me do evaluation for you? Yeah, if not, come and meet with me, come and talk with me. There's a million you should have more than you can handle, right? And then we start to prioritize over which ones, and we should start to prioritize them on price and work our way down from there, right? And I've got an unlimited number of people to call if you don't know where to look to get new real estate listings. It's pretty mind-boggling, honestly, the opportunities there.
What about the commissions, like, I have not had problems with it, but I haven't been working it. With the buyer's commission now that I'm there.
Yeah.
I have not had a problem with it, it's just another, it's almost like it's just another subject.
Yeah, so sometimes what I'll do is I'll kind of not necessarily avoid it, but like I won't include it unless they ask about it until the end, right? I usually standard say I typically charge 3, but for you I'll do it for 2.5. And then if they say, well, what about the buyer's agent commission? I say, the new NAR settlement says that it's negotiable, which is great for you. We'll save that until later. Like once you'll negotiate that directly with the buyer of your real estate.
It did make it easy, like, it's actually better.
Yeah, and you know what? And if they want 2.5, and say, hey, if we get multiple offers and I sell this thing, like we're talking about how I'm gonna sell it, I'm gonna try and avoid having you to pay any commission. But you have a little bit of the expectation the other agents going 2.5. Or similar to what you're.
And I just wanted to add to that and to what we were also talking about earlier real quick. There's like an ease of presentation, when you know it and you like can hold your hand through it quickly and easily. You don't, it doesn't feel like selling, doesn't feel like closing, like sometimes I go to the kids jumping place and they give me like a plastic thing, pink, green or yellow socks, and I'm like, they're closed. I'm my own clothes. You want to be clothed with green socks? Cool. You want to be monthly or for a full year? So your kids can jump around. Okay, you're closing me on the year. Okay, so it's almost as simple and painless like that to your clients. It's better. Why like bring up pages of stuff, go over materials, make it seem like we're going through like a hard something difficult. Then they feel like exactly. That's why he also Austin removed some stuff from his initial sales contract to make things.
Well, I have a long, detailed packet so they feel like I'm prepared, but it's all
But
about
it's like boiling the frog.
But reading
step
them.
by step.
But yeah.
Slowly.
reading them. I went into a listing appointment with an agent that's been here for a really long time, and a very experienced agent. And he started going through the whole thing, and the guy's eyes started rolling back in his head, and he didn't notice it. But I did. Right. And I go, excuse me, agent. I go to the seller. I go, what do you want for it? And he goes, all right, like I could see him light up.
Bye.
He goes, well, what's it worth? And I go, $1 million. Right? He goes, okay. What about the parking? And I go, plot, included in the price, thing you should ask for X, Y, and Z. He's like, all right, thank you. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. That's what he called here. Right? There's a difference. There's different personality types. You guys ever take the DISC profile test?
Some people want the graphs. Some people
Google it.
want you to tell you.
DISC. DISC profile.
Close each person differently. So like the guy, analytic guy, the guy that wants to see everything on the graphs, everything, he needs that. Okay, and the disc, what Austin is saying is, The advantage
Personality
is
test.
Give them a.
Dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness.
Like 16%.
Right? Is there a high D, right? People would say I'm a high D. A lot of salespeople are like that. Then there's people who are like, why is there a comma in the contract on line 432 and it's not a semicolon? You need to fix it, right? So those are, whatever you call like a type A person, right? And this is where it's going to teach you. So understanding what you are, take it for yourself. You don't need to tell anybody. Do it for yourself. It'll tell you what you are, and it'll help you understand what your opposite is when you're talking to somebody else and understanding what they may be. And as a salesperson, everybody should understand this. It will make you much more conscious over their personality type, their style, what they want. My wife is, she has never not crossed a T or dotted an I. I swear to God. It's insane. It's insane. So, understanding that, you can make sure to, when you're going through the sales process, understand what they're going to want to go through, right? And they're going to want to go through in detail.
And ultimately, that's why you pay the big bucks to cater to them, right?
Right.
In a specific sense, right? Obviously, you're leading, you're advising, you're the one that's supposed to be taking charge in some sense. But the service that they're paying for is the knowledge that you have, but also catering to their style. Being able to quickly understand what is their style, how do they want to be presented to, what are their goals, what do they want, and that is kind of why you're getting paid, so that they almost feel like there's people I work with, I almost feel like, are you doing anything? It just gets done, right? And then there's other people it feels like it's like a drudge and through the mud,
Remember those remember I was telling you about how not every sales pitch is going to go over right, but I know a lot of agents who walk in with nothing and they walk up to the seller and they go, what do you want, right? And it works 50% of the time. But how do you maximize that to work more is by understanding that person beforehand. And if you notice that person's that type of personality, walk up to them and go, what do you want for it, right? And take your paperwork. If you need to bust it out and you realize, oh wait, shoot, they're a detail-oriented person, I need to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, right? You bust it out, but otherwise you don't. Keep it back. And if they say, yeah, and they engage you in it, or they say, well, let's talk about it for, right?
It's
and
like
then
the
you walk.
basic sales stuff that they teach you in any sales. You go, if the guy says, okay, let's sign up, and then you're still bringing graphs up, it's like, dude, put that away.
Close them,
Be
yeah.
ready to sign.
They said they wanted to sign up, right?
And what also said, not everybody is A type. If you come up to them and go, how much do you want, buddy? Some people may be turned off by that. So your job is also to know, does this guy want me to level with him? Or does he need to be moved into this?
Right.
It's a couple, like, you gotta figure out. Who is really selling the house?
That too, yes.
That's the one that's kind of.
That's tricky.
That's more fun because you kind of have to talk to them long enough to kind of surmise, like, okay.
But in a lot of those situations though, when you're going into that type of situation, I think the biggest thing is to be their friend first. Somehow find a way to connect with them and be their friend, and then you don't have to worry about this, right? Is when it's a couple and you're in more of that situation, it's more of a residential, emotional. They want to trust you. And that's what you need to sell first and foremost is become their friend. And oh my gosh, every time I walk into a house, I take my shoes off, aggressively take my shoes off. And they're like, no, you don't have to do that. And I go, I have to. I love this real estate so much. I would never dare to walk on my bare feet. And people go, oh, right? This is what I need. This is what I want. Somebody who's going to care about my real estate.
Totally. And one more point I wanted to make too. I've been making a much bigger point of having an official meeting with clients, whether it's sell side, what we're talking about today, and also buy side. Especially if you can get into the office or on a Zoom call, it makes it much more official. I mean, the way most of us do it, or I used to do it, you say, hey, I want to buy property and pre-approve this neighborhood, or they send you one specifically, and if they just saw that went under contract, and now you gotta emulate and chase. And that works, you know, when you hit the ground running and quickly book shows, you set them an agreement, we're out there, right? But then you just start flying details, like they really wanna be close to their mom, because she lives in this neighborhood. Or they need a washer dryer in the building, not the unit, so it opens up more potential, properties for them, so having that interview in the beginning. Establishes you as the expert, but also gives you much more insight into that personality type, that's when you do discovery, if you will, to know how to implement stuff later on. Utilize this office, come in here, close people here. Utilize the busyness, the look, there's a certain aesthetic here to make yourself look like, you know, that's why Army all everybody's just the same, it looks like a humongous, strong force when it's all kind of. Walking in one direction, talking one way, and then do not hesitate to pull Austin or a senior broker into those meetings, especially those initial meetings with a buyer or whatever. And just be like, yo, help me out with this, you know, as a coaching session, or just as a favor, you know, we're all in it together in a sense, so. Like Austin saved that as the presentation he was talking about, like seeing key visual cues from the seller that help them see, okay, we're in the wrong style, I need to do a switch up. That could be the same case for you, you know, being a newer agent in this industry, meeting with somebody you're not seeing certain details. Yeah, you could run the meeting or whatever, however you discuss it with that person, your mentor at that time or that helper at that time, but. It's good, it makes you look stronger, they could throw in stuff that you didn't see, they could help you take over and lead the train back on the tracks after the roads for a second. And so,
So closing this out, we're gonna grab some lunch together, hungry. Make sure you have your lead sources written down, time block for building the pipeline from the start. Some ideas for you would be send a mass email. Super easy. We can if you have another personal email system, whether it's Yahoo or your own personal Gmail, Tim can go in and download every single email you've ever received or sent an email to. And we can upload it to your CRM and mass email for you. It's all your contacts. We don't keep any of them or market to them. It's all got your name on it all. We can do that all for you. He's got a lot of templated stuff where you just pick one and we'll fire it off for you. I mean, it's so crazy. Every time I go in and send a bunch of mass emails, and then like 4 days later, I get all this new business, right? Sometimes I can't necessarily line it up, but it's like, hey, what did I do? Right? It's like, oh yeah.
What am I sending, the mass emails?
Oh, there's a lot of different stuff. You can do market report. You could do want to know, you know, valuation stuff. You know what, your website has the ability for us, you know, you to write a blog on it if you want to, you know, you don't necessarily have to blog, but it's a cool thing to do, like a quick little market update. And then you could want to know what the market's doing. Here's a little article I wrote, right? Like stuff like that. Look back at like what other companies do, right? Like, how does Best Buy market? Right, is they offer you discounts, so they have a reason to email you is to give you the discount, right? And so think about stuff like that. I don't necessarily always believe in that, and sometimes in our business can be a little bit hokey, but you know, we've done it before. You know, do you want a beautiful drone photo of your home? You know,
I do that on LinkedIn, I put out stuff occasionally, you do it more.
yeah, so take that writing, right? And then what I do is write about it, but then summarize it in LinkedIn and get all your LinkedIn followers to go to your website. And there's a lot of other touch points or conversion points. That's your funnel, your funnel, your what do they call it? What are the pages that we created maybe for lead capture pages, right? Right. So we'll and we can help you with all of that. Like just book some time with me or Tim or whatever, and you know, it's already on your website, right? The what your home is worth button, right? And if they're a buyer, what's the best thing for a buyers? You can look through all the sales inventory out there, right? And they can click. And it goes to you when anybody's coming through your website to your league page. And then guess what? And the beauty of it is that it goes into your CRM, if you track it, you stay on top of it, it's amazing. So yeah,
I appreciate that.
all right, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you all for coming and friendly reminder, you guys want to schedule photos, ask the front desk, they'll book photos, they'll help you with all of that. We have a national referral network. If you guys ever have a referral for anywhere in the country, front desk know, they're happy to set you up with somebody who's kind of proven in our market. Standard's kind of 25%, but you're happy to negotiate difference. And also we got transaction coordinator services. We've got Matterport virtual tours. We've got drone video, all kinds of crazy stuff. And if you guys haven't done a headshot recently, or you have a team member to join, or you have want to do a lifestyle shoot because you don't have the content to put in that mass marketing email, right? Those shoots are great for just generating other content too. So keep that in mind. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.